thanks again for purchasing your very own DIY bracelet kit. Again, it's a possibility you have a single or a double or a triple, but don't worry. The directions are all the same. It's just for those with double or triple, you're going to be doing it a lot longer. So anyways, here's how you get started. I'm going to try and break this down so that way you don't have any questions whatsoever. If you do, in the comment section, you can type out your question, post it to the video, and I will get back to it as soon as I can. You can also send me a message on Etsy, where I sell these online. If you bought these at one of the local art shows that I attend, again, you have my business card, so if you're seeing this video, just you can message me on, Etsy, or just shoot a comment in this video. All right, so very quickly, what I like to let everybody know is when you get your kit and you're ready to start it, you're going to open it and check the contents. Make sure you have your beads, your button, your leather. Underneath is going to be your command hook, your sticky pad, your needle, your QR code reader, or your QR code, and your thread. All right, and everything's good. You can set it out like this. Pull it out. I like to get the kinks and the bends out of the leather, and that's just running it through my fingers, warming it up, and then set it down. So it's more pliable. Let me get this out of the way. You're going to set your command hook. And it's really easy. I've already done it to prepare for this video. Get this. Directions are pretty simple on the pad. So this is going to go to the wall or the base or whatever you're applying it to. This part will go to the back of this. I've also flipped them and haven't had a problem. So again, that's not, but if you're particular about it, pull that, sticker it, pull that, sticker it down. Remember, give yourself enough space to where when you start coming back, especially if you have a double or a triple, you're going to want the space to be able to move back and keep going back. So don't confine yourself too much, but also don't put it way too far ahead of you to where you can't reach it. Just make sure that wherever you're at and doing this, you can move your chair backwards to keep going. If this isn't something you prefer, that's quite all right. I actually use, more often than not, a clipboard. And I'll clip my button into that and then continue going. And I can flip the clipboard around to keep going on the back side. And it's almost like it wraps around the clipboard. But this is just a better solution, especially for these kits, because I cannot stick a clipboard in this. So, but this works amazing. And it holds very well. So go ahead, attach and apply that. Give it a nice good pull. Make sure it's good. And it's good and on there. Do not remove this until you're done with your bracelet because you cannot re-sticker this. All right, so when you get your leather out, make sure both ends are the same. Hold it, that way you can find the middle. I like to move it a couple times just to give it that good crease. See, you kind of know where the middle's at. Next, your button. This particular design is a shank button. A couple of my kits will contain a 2-hole button. And here's one for reference. Two holes. Okay. So what you're going to do with these ones is both ends are going to go in. 1 and then 2. Again, make sure when you're pulling it that when you start, both ends are even. Pinch it, pull it, middle. Okay, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you certainly don't want something like where if you were to pull it, it was off center. And here's the reason why. Okay, so when you pull it all the way down, you have a whole bunch of this left over. These kits are specifically measured out to give you enough material to fit a size 7-inch wrist, which is this long, not including beads. And then you're going to need another area for your knot, for your button to fit through, okay? So you don't want to lose a whole lot of extra leather. All right, so that's the 2-hole button for this particular kit. Excuse me, bear with me. You're just going to put it through the shank, which is the hole. Make sure both ends are even. Pull it. And there you have your middle. I like to make sure it's really good and smushed down there so it kind of stays. All right, so this is how it's going to sit in there. So the reason why I chose this particular clip is because the command hooks have this little gap. And the little gap seems to hold the button fairly well. This way you can hold it, pull it to keep it straight. If you're just doing your bracelet like this, you're going to end up with a very wonky wrap bracelet. So that's the reason why this is kind of important. So we're just going to set it right there for right now. The next up, your thread. All right, what I like to do, and it's all personal preference, obviously. If you want to start out with a smaller section, by all means, do that. Each kit is equipped with quite a bit of thread. However, if you do mess up, have to cut it all off, I don't know that you will have enough to complete the task at hand. So I wouldn't waste a lot. But what I like to do is, when I first started, finger and then pull it all the way up your arm, fully extending it. I can't get that in the video, but if you fully extend your arm, pull the thread all the way up to your shoulder, it should give you approximately that much thread to work with. Now that I have done this quite often, I like to go from arm to arm. So as if you're giving somebody a big hug outwards, hold one end and then hold the other end and the other. And that's the length that I generally cut out, which is what I'm going to be doing today. So give me a minute to do that. You should end up with that much thread instead. Cut it. We're just going to thread this on, which can be probably the most annoying part. First try, I got it. All right, pull it all the way through. Again, you should have approximately this much that you're going to be tying off, okay? It could even be as little as this much, okay? Between 2 and 3 inches. You can even do 4. It's all personal preference as far as tying off, and I'll go to show you that. That way you can figure that out. Okay. I'm gonna hold it tight, nice and tight right here. I start to put my first bead on about right here. So where there's a gap and you believe a bead could fit, go just underneath that. And the reason why is because when you flip this, when you go to wear it, it's going to take up that space that you thought a bead could sit at. So just go right under it, okay? It just makes it look better. Again, personal preference. You don't have to do that. So grab your bead. We're going to go underneath, okay? And then slide it on up. Hold it with your first finger. And then hold the leather between your first finger and your thumb, just to hold everything steady. Okay, if not, this is going to go all over the place. Trust me, if you don't have everything nice and tight and just where it should be, sometimes your bracelet can, and you want to make sure that this first bead is stitched on nice and tight because it offers you the best ability to continue down the bracelet great. So I'm going to put on this first bead. The next couple beads that I'm going to put on, I'm going to do a close-up, okay? Because I can understand that this might be a little bit hard to view from this far away. However, moving this bracelet around without this bead fully attached is going to be very difficult. So let me get this first bead on. I'm going to tie it off. I'm going to show you how to tie it off. And then I'm going to show you more up close on how this works, okay? But just as a quick go-to, it's going to be under, through, under, and then pull from left to right, or I'm sorry, from right to left, okay? until you have approximately this much, which is good for tying, I would say. Okay. We are going to go back through the bead. And this time, when I went through, I went over the leather, through the bead, over the leather. See how it's shiny above the leather? Okay. Okay, that's one pass through. You're going to have to do a second one. I like to make sure that there's 4 passes. So underneath is 1, over 1, or number 2. Under again is number 3, and then over again is number 4. Okay, so now we're just doing, that's 3. And this is 4. And sometimes that gets kind of looped in, just pull that. Alright, pull it nice and snug. Make sure before you tie it off it's exactly where you want it to be. Sometimes they could slip. Again, that matters when you hold it. Hold it real tight, okay? So when I go to tie off, I just come on the inside of the bracelet. Okay? I want to go between the bead and the leather and just tie it off. Pull it. Make a loop tie. Again, this is all personal preference. Tying off is just, it's exactly what it means. You're just tying off that loose end bit. Now, however you feel is easier for you, then by all means go for it. My only thing is definitely try to do it 2 knots and not just 1. You want this bracelet to be very durable and last a while, okay? So go ahead and clip that off. We don't want that. And then because of the tying off, I don't know if you can see this far away, but it's a little bit loose, okay? And here, see it moving? It shouldn't do that. And that's fine. You're just going to pull it nice and snug. All right, see? We're solid again. Okay. So now that we have our first bead on, it's a lot easier to go from here on out. And let me show you up close what we're doing. All right, again, bear with my camera. It may go in and out of focus as I move. So we're gonna get the next bead to start number 2. Okay, it's on there. We're gonna go behind the leather. All right, see the video how it is, the needle is behind both leathers. Okay, hold it with your first finger, your thumb, the bead, and the leather. Nice good grip, okay? Make sure the hole is exposed on both sides so you're not stabbing yourself. And then you're going to pull it all the way through. So going from right, we're pulling left all the way through. Okay. So now that we're underneath, make sure it's pulled nice and tight. We're going to be going from top over leather. Wait for it to over leather. And you can see it now. Over the leather, through the bead, over the leather with the needle, okay? And you're pulling from left, coming out right. Pull it till it's nice and snug, okay? Now we have to do that all over again. So we're going to go under the leather, through the bead, under the leather. See? Pull it nice and snug. We're going to do it again. Get this out of the way. A little bit trickier when you're not using the hook. All right, so we're going to go in front of the leather, through the bead, in front of the leather. Okay. See? The shiny. We're going to pull. So that'll be your 4 times, okay? Make sure it's nice and tight. That way nothing's moving and it's still nice and straight. Again, I wouldn't recommend holding it this way. Make sure it's on this hook, okay? Here's another one, all right? Grab another bead. Put it behind the leather. Okay? So this is pass number 1. Now we're coming, make sure we're not getting tangled up. Pass number 2 is over the leather, through the bead, over the leather. Pull nice and snug. Third pass, under the leather, through the bead, under the leather. See, not shiny. Pull nice and snug. Next, pass number 4 is going to be over the leather, through the bead, over the leather. Pull it nice and snug. Okay, so that's just what it's going to be the entire length all the way down. I'm going to hook it back up and I'm going to continue with the bracelet. It's just easier to do it this way. Again, first finger, and I'm holding the excess leather with the rest, okay? It just kind of, if you let it sag, again, it'll get all wonky on you. So I like to keep everything nice and in its place. All right. Under through under, over through over, under through under, over through over, under through under, over through over, under through under, and over through over. All right, so that is the start. And what I'm going to do is do a couple more beads for you. And then we're going to show you how to, oops, finish it off. All right. Of all days, my leather just wants to flip in front of me. And this is, again, just a single wrap. Doubles will be longer, triples will be even longer than that. Where you stop is going to be a personal preference, because everybody's wrist sizes are obviously different. And then, not to mention just that, but people like their bracelets tighter or looser. So that was the beauty of this kit, was to be able to offer as many options as I could for people's personal preference. So again, see how I'm just holding it? I'm keeping it straight. I'm applying pressure, pulling it towards me while holding it at the same time, okay? And using my forefinger to keep everything in line. It helps a lot. It does take some getting used to. It is definitely odd to video and attempt to do such things, but it definitely makes for a prettier, professional quality looking bracelet. So we're just going to keep going. Never mind, I'm just going to do the whole thing for you. Single wraps are my entry level kits. Double is the step up, triple is more advanced. I wouldn't call that expert level, but it's just more advanced. Single wraps are just easier to do because they're easier to keep straighter. The longer you get, the harder it does become, but if keeping it straight isn't a problem, the double and triple will be just fine. It's just more time consuming. I would say a single wrap for a beginner should take approximately 20 minutes. A double should take about, 30, and then a triple should take about 40. If these times aren't exactly right for you, I do apologize. I'm just giving my best rough estimates. Let's see, we're just getting a little bit out of screenshot on this one because it's a little bit longer. I wasn't intending on going this far. So once you start getting near to the end, how I like to do a sizing measurement is I'll come through and do this, where I just kind of do it just to hold my place, okay? See how nice and straight this is right now. If you do notice it got a little bit wonky on you, go ahead and straighten it out. I don't have any examples to show you because I did not do that this time, but if you have a bend this way, okay, you're just gonna pull it the opposite direction, just gently, okay? Just to kind of get it straight. And if you can keep doing that all the way through, it's a lot easier to keep it straight when you get down to the end. Because if you wait till the end to start straightening everything, it might be a little bit difficult. All right, so I would take it on my wrist. That way you can figure out how many more beads you're probably going to need to go. So I would say about right there to get over to the button. And that looks to be about 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 5 more beads, okay? You want to stop before you think you've got there, because taking off a bead is not the easiest task to do. But I'll also show you that as well. That way you can troubleshoot any errors that you might come into. But best advice is to get an idea of where you're at, how many more beads you're going to need before you get to too many beads. Number 2. Almost there. We're just going to do one more. Actually, we'll do 2 more. Hold on. Let's do this. All right, let's see where we're at. Okay, so normally if you like a snug fit, I would say right about there. The reason why is because, excuse me, as soon as you knot it, this is going to be your opening, okay, for a nice snug fit, okay? If you need it a little bit looser, go ahead and put on a couple more beads and go from there, okay? So it's all personal preference. So that I would say that that was a pretty snug fit for me. We're going to do one more. Now this is the reason why you don't want to put on too many beads, okay? Let's do one more for one more to show you. Okay, so we've done the 4 loops and go. All right, that might be too many for you, right? Because where I showed you where I wanted my knot was right there, and I like mine to be snug. So what you're going to do is you're going to loosen it up, okay? So just very slowly start pulling it that way, and you're going to notice, make sure we're in on this. Okay, you're going to notice it's a little bit loose. All right. You could try to rethread and pull it individually all you want back through, but sometimes when you're sewing through the middle of this bead, you're going to go in between some of these other threads that are already there. So you can end up just completely obliterating that thing of thread. So this is the reason why I do it like this. I'm sure that was one of the questions you were thinking. So anyways, I like to pull, once you got enough slack, pull that out, okay? And then your bead will plop right off, right? And then if it's not tangled, you should be able to just unweave it back around, and then you'll be fine. But again, sometimes when you're weaving in and out with that thread, you're going to catch the thread that's on the inside of that hole, okay? And then when you go to do that technique that I just showed you, it's going to end up fraying. A lot of times what happens is it'll start knotting, and it will knot approximately right here, which means you only have this much to tie off, okay? And that is tough. But if you have tools like little needle nose pliers, or if you're pretty good with your fingers, which I'm not, you could probably get it. But it's always nicer to have a lot of slack. And the reason why is because when you're done, you're going to want to tie it off. And it's tougher to do with a small piece. Possible, tough. So even if that was the case, so say you got stuck with this little nubbin, okay, to weave it inside and then pull it. Let's see if we can do it. Oh no. Hold it. All right. Then we try to whittle it through the hole. Ah, we did it. Okay, but yeah, that was still a pain in the butt. So just don't go over the amount that you'd like to go over. It's best just to keep checking. It doesn't add that much more time. All right, so now that you're all done, I like to give it one final pull, tug, and make sure that it's good. It lays really nice. Okay, nice and straight. And it also, because I didn't over pull on any of the beads, they should sit actually perfectly within the leather. Some, you'll notice if it's too tight a stitching, you're going to get things that'll kind of pop out like that. All that means is that you've crowded them too close together. So when you're going down, make sure that you're holding them in the place that they need to be nice and movable like this, okay? If you do end up with that problem, again, it's all about straightening. Try to pull the beads down. You'll start with the bottom, give yourself a little bit of space, and just pull the rest of the way up to continue to get more room, okay? And sometimes you can, that sucker will go back down. Any other troubleshooting tips? I just can't remember, but I think I covered the big ones for you just to kind of get you going. Again, if you have any questions, just a message in the comment box or shoot me an email through my Etsy. All right, finishing it off, it's just the loop around knot, okay? And then keep pulling it down to keep it in place, okay? Because you want it right in front of that bead. Give it a nice good pull. Okay, so we're good. Now the next part is you're doing the same thing. Okay, so you're going to kind of get it to about where you think it should be, right? Don't pull it too tight just yet. The reason why is because depending on your kit, you're going to get a different size button, all right? And you want to make sure that when you go to make your final hole, that the button is exactly where you need it to be able to fit through, okay? This is appropriate. A little bit of space on either side. Okay, if it was any tighter than that, so say we went a little bit tighter, we cannot simply get that through, okay? You're just gonna have a dud bracelet. If it is too large, okay, let's say we tried doing it all the way up here, okay? This looks like it fit 2 buttons. While that seems all right, this is what it's gonna look like on your wrist. Not only that, but it can slip through very easy, okay? You don't want to lose this. So the point is to make sure that the opening is wide enough to accommodate the button, but also small enough to not slip out as easy. So that's the reason why I do the double check before I pull. Pull, make sure it can slip through, and it is the width of the button, okay? Give a nice good pull. If you want this to be a little bit more adjustable, say You want some days where it's looser, or you want it to be an ankle bracelet some days or a bracelet another. Make a second. Okay? If not, don't worry about it. Just make your one and clip. Cut the leather off, extra leather. And there we go. Snug. Getting your bracelet on. Generally like to go like that. And it's as if you were buttoning a pair of pants. It just gets a little bit tricky with one hand until you get used to it. Pull. And then pull it the rest of the way through. Taking off. Same deal. Slide it through and then off. All right, well, I hope that you found this video helpful. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. And thank you again for purchasing your kit. And I hope you create something beautiful. Thanks. Bye.